Hi, Reddit. I've been keeping this a secret for 5 long years, and today I finally decided to get it off my chest. Have you ever felt completely invisible in your own home? Like you're just a ghost living with people who are supposed to love you? That was my entire life. I grew up with my younger brother, Leo. In our house, Leo was what people call the golden child. He was the center of the universe for my parents. Literally, he could do no wrong. If Leo broke a window with a baseball, my parents would look at me and say, "Why didn't you stop him? You're the older brother, it's your fault." If Leo got terrible grades in school, my mom would cry and blame me for not studying with him. Leo learned very early that he didn't need to work, he didn't need to respect anyone, and he could have whatever he wanted just by crying a little bit. But I didn't let that break me. I had a big plan. I knew that the only way to escape this toxic house was education. So, all through high school, I worked day and night. I studied until 2 in the morning, got straight A's, and won several academic competitions. My goal was my dream university, one of the best and most expensive in the country. And the best part, I knew I could afford it. Years ago, my grandfather passed away, and he left a big, closed college fund specifically for my future tuition. My grandfather knew my parents were irresponsible with money, so he secured that fund for me. Finally, the big day arrived. I got the official acceptance letter from the university. I was shaking with happiness. That evening, during dinner, I sat down with my parents to talk about the technical details of the tuition and how to unlock the grandfather's fund. I will never forget that moment. The room went completely quiet. My dad suddenly looked away, staring at the wall, and my mom cleared her throat nervously. She didn't look me in the eyes. "Look, honey," she said in a very soft, fake voice. "We are so proud of you. You are incredibly smart. But we need to tell you something. We already unlocked and used that college fund a few months ago." I felt like all the air was sucked out of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. "What do you mean you used it?" I asked, my voice shaking. "That money was for my university. Where is it?" My dad finally looked at me, and his face was cold. Leo was feeling very depressed, okay? All his friends at school drive nice cars, and he felt like a loser. He needs a good start in life and money for his lifestyle, or his mental health will be ruined. So, we used the fund to buy Leo that new luxury sports car outside, and we gave him the rest as a personal allowance. I looked out the window. There it was, a brand new shiny sports car. My grandfather's money, my future, my hard work, all of it was sitting on 4 wheels in the driveway. For Leo, because he felt sad. "But what about me?" I whispered, tears filling my eyes. "What about my college?" My mom just waved her hand like it was nothing. "Oh, come on. You are the smart one. You don't need a fund. You can easily just get a huge student loan, work a part-time job, and pay it off later. Leo isn't built for hard work like you. He needs our help more." They literally stole my future to give the golden boy a toy. In that exact second, something inside me died. The sad, lonely boy who wanted his parents' love vanished. Instead, a cold, calculated anger took over. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, and I didn't argue. I just stood up, went to my room, and packed all my clothes into 2 bags. That same night, I walked out of that house. I didn't say goodbye, and I cut them off completely. I blocked their phone numbers, their social media, everything. The next 5 years were absolute hell. I moved to a tiny cold basement apartment. I took that massive student loan my mom talked about so easily. I worked 2 jobs, one as a night porter and another delivering food, while studying full-time at the university. I survived on instant noodles, drank cheap coffee, and slept about 4 hours a night. There were days when my body was screaming from exhaustion, but every time I wanted to give up, I remembered the image of that shiny sports car in the driveway. It gave me a dark, powerful energy to keep going. And it paid off. I graduated at the top of my class. Because of my high grades, I immediately got a job as a software engineer at a top tech company. Within a few years, my salary skyrocketed. I paid off my student loan completely, bought my own beautiful apartment, and finally started living a peaceful, successful life. My parents never tried to find me. They never checked if I was alive or starving. Not even a single text on Christmas. I was dead to them, and they were dead to me. Until last month. Out of nowhere, I received an email from an unknown address. It was my mother. The email read, "Hi, honey. We miss you so much. It's been so long, and we want to be a real family again. Past is past, right? We have wonderful news. Your brother Leo is getting married next month to a beautiful girl from an extremely wealthy billionaire family. This is a huge event for us. We really want you to be there. The wedding is at the Grand Luxury Hotel. Please come, let's celebrate together." I stared at the screen for an hour. Did they really change? Did they finally realize how cruel they were to me? I was skeptical, but a small naive part of me wanted to see them. I wanted them to see that I succeeded without a single cent of their help. So I bought an expensive, perfectly tailored suit, got into my car, and drove to the luxury hotel on the day of the wedding. When I walked into the lobby, it looked like a movie scene. Everything was covered in expensive flowers, crystal, and rich people in diamonds. Leo's new in-laws were clearly elite. Suddenly, my mom saw me. Her eyes went wide. She ran across the room and she hugged me tightly. For about 5 seconds, I actually felt a warmth in my chest. I thought, maybe she really misses me. But then, she pulled back, looked around nervously to make sure nobody was listening, and whispered in my ear, "Thank God you actually came. We're in a total nightmare right now. Leo's best man got completely drunk this morning and literally lost the wedding rings. The ceremony starts in 30 minutes. You need to run to the luxury jewelry shop down the street right now, buy 2 new diamond rings, and pay for them with your credit card. Leo's new billionaire in-laws are watching us. We cannot look poor. Hurry up. We know you make good money now." The warmth in my chest instantly turned to ice. They didn't invite me because they loved me. They didn't invite me to be a family. They invited me to be their emergency wallet. They wanted to use me again to protect their precious golden boy. I looked at my mom's desperate face. Then I looked into the main wedding hall where Leo was laughing with his rich friends. And in that moment, I smiled. A very calm, polite smile. "Don't worry, Mom," I said quietly. "I will go fix everything right now." But I didn't go to the jewelry shop. I didn't turn around. I didn't walk out of the hotel. And I definitely did not go to the luxury jewelry shop to spend my hard-earned money on new rings for Leo. Instead, I took a deep breath, adjusted my jacket, and walked straight through the double doors into the main wedding hall. The room was beautiful. There were huge crystal chandeliers, thousands of white roses, and about 200 guests dressed in tuxedos and expensive designer gowns. These people were elite, corporate CEOs, tech investors, and the family of the bride, who practically owned half of the real estate in the city. In the center of the room stood Leo. He was wearing a custom white suit, laughing, and drinking expensive champagne. When he saw me, his smile froze for a fraction of a second. I could see the panic in his eyes. He thought I was there to create a scene about the past, but I just smiled warmly, nodded at him, and took a seat at one of the tables in the back. Leo relaxed. My parents, who were standing near the stage, looked at me and gave me a thumbs up. They thought I was the good, obedient older brother who just saved the day and bought the rings. They had no idea that my credit card was still safely inside my pocket. 10 minutes later, the announcer stepped up to the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said into the microphone, his voice echoing through the hall, "before we begin the official ceremony, We have a very special surprise. Leo's older brother has unexpectedly joined us today, and he would like to say a few words to the bride and groom. My mom and dad started clapping loudly. Leo looked proud, leaning against his beautiful fiancée, whose father, the billionaire, was sitting at the main table, watching closely. They thought I was going to give a standard boring speech about how great Leo is. I stood up. The room went quiet as I walked up the steps onto the stage. I took the microphone from the announcer, looked out at the crowd of rich strangers, and then looked directly at my family. "Hello, everyone," I said, speaking clearly into the microphone. My voice sounded calm, almost pleasant. "I am Leo's older brother. I know many of you don't know me because my parents haven't spoken to me in 5 years. But today, I wanted to come here and tell you all a story about how incredibly generous and loving my family truly is." My mom smiled widely from the front row. My dad nodded, looking happy. "You see," I continued, 5 years ago, I worked day and night to get into my dream university. I got accepted, and I was ready to go. My grandfather had left a very large college fund specifically for my education. But on my 18th birthday, my parents sat me down and told me some news. They told me they took my entire college fund and spent it all. The smile on my mom's face suddenly vanished. My dad's posture went completely stiff.
"They didn't spend it on medical bills," I said, my voice getting a bit colder. "They didn't spend it to save our home. They took my future and used it to buy my younger brother, Leo, a luxury sports car. Because Leo was feeling sad that his friends had nicer things than him. They told me that because I was the smart one, I could just get a massive student loan, work 2 jobs, and figure it out myself. While Leo needed a luxury toy to feel good about himself." A collective gasp went through the room. I could hear people whispering. The billionaire father of the bride slowly sat up straight, his eyebrows furrowing. Leo's face turned from pink to completely white. "Turn off the microphone," my dad suddenly shouted from the front row, his face turning red with anger. He started walking toward the stage. But I didn't stop. I spoke louder, right into the mic. "And do you want to know why I am here today?" I asked the crowd, looking directly at Leo's horrified fiancée. "They didn't invite me because they missed me. They invited me because Leo's best man lost the wedding rings this morning. And my mom whispered in my ear that I needed to run to the jewelry store and buy new diamond rings with my own money so they wouldn't look poor in front of a billionaire family. They didn't want a son. They wanted a wallet." My dad reached the stage and tried to grab the microphone from my hand. But it was already too late. The damage was done. My dad's hand was shaking as he tried to grab the microphone. His face was completely purple. "You are a liar," he screamed, but his voice cracked. Everyone in the room could see the truth written all over his panicked face. I didn't argue. I didn't say another word. I just placed the microphone gently on the edge of the stage, looked at Leo one last time, and walked down the steps. As I walked toward the exit, the silence in the room broke into total chaos. People started whispering loudly. I passed by the main table where the bride's family was sitting. The billionaire father looked like he wanted to burn my parents with his eyes. Leo's fiancée was covering her mouth with her hands, tears ruining her expensive makeup. She looked at Leo, then at the luxury sports car keys sitting on the table, and realized exactly what kind of people she was marrying into. My mom ran after me into the lobby, crying hysterically. "How could you do this to your own brother?" she screamed, catching my arm. "You ruined his life. You ruined everything. He loved her." I stopped, pulled my arm away, and looked at her with a completely calm face. "No, Mom," I said. "He loved her money. And you loved using me. You took my future 5 years ago, and you didn't care if it ruined my life. I just told the truth today. Enjoy the wedding." I turned around, walked out of the luxury hotel, and got into my car. As I drove away, I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. For 5 years, I carried the pain of their betrayal. Now, it was finally gone. The aftermath was faster and more brutal than I expected. I turned off my phone for the rest of the weekend. When I turned it back on Monday morning, I had over 50 missed calls and hundreds of angry text messages from my parents, Leo, and even some distant relatives I hadn't seen in a decade. They were calling me a monster, a psychopath, and a traitor. But the most important news came from a friend who was still connected to Leo's social circle. The wedding never happened. Right after I walked out, the billionaire father stood up, took his daughter by the hand, and walked out of the hall. He legally canceled everything. He told my parents that he would never let his daughter marry into a family of thieves, liars, and scammers who exploit their own children. Because the wedding was canceled, the luxury hotel demanded full payment for the event, which cost tens of thousands of dollars. My parents had spent all their savings just to look rich for the billionaires, counting on Leo's new wife to pay for everything later. Now, they are in massive financial debt. Worse than that, Leo's rich fiancée dumped him permanently. She blocked him everywhere and demanded the return of all the expensive gifts her family had given him. Leo lost his rich lifestyle, his future inheritance, and his reputation in high society. The golden boy is completely ruined. My mom sent me one final text message yesterday. She wrote, "You are no longer our son. You destroyed this family because of your jealousy. I hope you are happy." I stared at the message for a second, and then I did what I should have done 5 years ago. I deleted it and blocked her permanently. I am not jealous. I am finally free. They took my grandfather's money and tried to take my dignity. But in the end, they lost everything, and I built a successful life with my own 2 hands. So, Reddit, that is my story. Am I the bad guy for exposing them at the wedding? Or did the golden child and his enablers finally get exactly what they deserved?